Big up Sam Isaac
Big up
and
Sam
Son.
Isaac and Son.
Yeah, they have paved the way for us, and
Right.
we are able to benefit today from the work that they have put in. Again, congratulations, Sam Isaac and Sons, as you celebrate major milestone. They were established in 1912.
Wow.
They are older than independent Jamaica, Mr. Green.
Wow. So, why I wish if they was here to share this moment.
But trust me. so you know that if Jamaica had died, it would be Sam Isaacs who would have buried Jamaica at the time. and another piece of fact is that they were set up on Orange Street.
Yeah, I wonder how much of our national heroes they bury.
Well, I do know of a couple of past governors general and also prime ministers that they have had the pleasure to serve our country in doing those funerals. But again, kudos to Sam Isaac.
Yeah, man, for paving the way for us, and you know,
rich heritage.
Yeah, man, congratulations, Sam Isaac, Mr. Chuck.
Yeah, man, Mr. Chuck, big up, and your team.
Yes,
big
Mr.
up,
Chuck,
man.
and your team, big up yourself.
And funny enough, you know, Mr. Green, though they are settled now at Hanover Street, Kingston. Watch over give Sam Isaac's advertisement, but our friend them still.
Yeah.
They started on Orange Street.
Right.
They started on Orange Street and you know, expanded to Hanover Street later on, and that's where they still are. And by extension, they operate a cemetery in Shooters Hill.
But I know that Shooters Hill Cemetery,
Sunset Burial Park.
Right. I know from where we were growing up, that's a cemetery that we used to hear about a lot.
Yes.
Shooters Hill.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Sunset Burial Park.
You know, and a lot of songs would build around Shooters Hill.
Right.
You know, before other cemetery come into, I don't really want to mention names, but before
we can talk about Sunset.
Yeah, we can talk, you know, it's a long time Shooters Hill thing.
Yes, man. But we talk about Shooters Hill Cemetery, Sir Green, listeners. But can I tell you though that there was a cemetery before Shooters Hill? The first cemetery in Jamaica is the Old Jewish Cemetery at 1 Hunts Bay in St. Andrew.
Yeah.
And the Old Jewish Cemetery was actually founded by the Jews of Port Royal in the latter part of the 17th century. That is history for you here, history for me as well.
Right.
Yeah, so the Old Jewish Cemetery there, down by Hunts Bay, is the oldest cemetery in Jamaica. And of course, you know, it really served the Jews. And later on, we'd have the Sunset Burial Park, which we just spoke about.
Right.
Also Dovecote, etc., etc.
Yeah, because before, let's talk about Dovecote and Maddens. You know, I always hear about Sunset, Shooters Hill. Not Sunset,
no, Shooters Hill. Yeah. Most people, you know, the truth is, though, you know, Mr. Green, when you say Sunset Burial Park, person ask you, where is that?
Yeah, because it's recently.
Right.
I know about the Sunset Burial Park thing. You know, you tell me about Shooters Hill now.
Right.
I know exactly where you're talking, you know.
Right. So you have to say either Shooters Hill or Sam Isaac's cemetery, and individuals know exactly where you are referring to. So friends, that was a little piece of history before we get into our program today. Today's program, we are going to be having a less than desirable discussion based on a recent incident, Mr. Green, that came to my attention. And the listener asked me to shed some light on the matter, not only for him, but also to those who are listening, so that if it does, unfortunately, or unfortunate enough, happens to anyone else, they will know what to do. So again, before we get into the discussion, let me tell you now, friends, this is the program Final Decision. The numbers to call if you want to participate in the program: 876-968-8117. That's 876-968-8117. Toll free is 877-494-0253. 877-494-0253. Let me just pay respects to our listeners who continue to join us from overseas, Canada and the United States. Thank you so very much for your listenership and for spreading the word and for being here with us. So, Mr. Green, somebody called me last week last week Thursday. Was it Thursday? No, Wednesday. Last Wednesday. And the issue that they were having was that her mother died in a particular parish. I won't call the name of the parish. I won't say the name of the police or anything like that, because there is an investigation on the way in that regard. So her mother died, and the police came, died at home. The police came on the scene, and the police expressed that they did not have an interest in the case. However, they will be calling a funeral home to come and do the removal. When the funeral home came, family disoriented at the time of death, and so they allowed the procedure to, to go ahead, even though they had a funeral home in mind, because the police said that they would be calling the government funeral home. They had no problem because, the process is that if the police decides to call the government contracted funeral home, you allow them to, and then within 48 hours,
but you said the police told them that they have no interest in the case.
That's the first thing. They have no interest.
Yeah, so if they have no interest in the case,
As
they
a
should
matter of
allow
fact,
the family to make that decision.
As a matter of fact, how it actually goes is that they call the police, they called the funeral home, and after the removal was done, then they said to the family that they have no interest in the case, so they can do whatever they wish to after. But the striking thing, though, is that the funeral home that they called is not even a funeral home that is located in the parish.
Wow.
Outside of the parish. So the following day, when the young lady had a discussion with her other relatives, and they decide now that they are going to use the funeral home that they really want to, because that funeral home has served them before, they are being given a hefty bill by the funeral home that did the removal. So when they inquired as to why such a heavy bill, they said, one, based on the distance that they had to travel, two, for storage, and three, they had gone ahead to do the embalming.
Without no proper documents and no okay from anybody that, this body can be prepared. Wow.
So that's part of the issues that we face.
But I am wondering, Mr. Maitland, if the police did not inform them of the reason why they call him to do the removal. Because, calling them to do the removal, there's no arrangement between this funeral home and the family.
But the fact, Mr. Green, the fact that you were called, and you were called by the police, and I surmise by a friend, and the fact that you were called from one parish, you had to cross over another parish to go to this second parish to do the removal, speaks volumes to the situation that is happening here.
So I am in St. Mary, and the police won't call a funeral from St. Anne.
Right. As a matter of fact, not even St. Anne, call a funeral home from Trelawney.
Trelawney.
So that funeral home would have traveled through St. Anne and then to St. Mary. Because that is exactly how the case is. The funeral home had to leave one parish, travel through another parish to get to that parish to do the removal. So it's crossed two boundaries right there to do the removal.
I hope that we need people to listen to this program, and understand what we are getting on, because we have to protect the integrity of the funeral industry. Right? And we have to try to ensure that justice is being served. Right? And people is being satisfied with the service that is provided by funeral homes.
I have instructed the family what to do. And again, friends, as I always say, if you have a challenge and you're uncertain about it, you can call either of us, either Mr. Green or myself. The fact is, just let me be clear, they are not using Garden of Paradise Funeral Home. They did not, and I know this for a fact, that they did not intend to use
Mr. Maitland, let us look into this a little bit, Mr. Maitland.
So no,
the police.
I just want to clarify now, because maybe somebody think that they wanted to use our services. That's why I'm taking it like this. No, they did not want to use Garden of Paradise Funeral Home. As a matter of fact, it is not even in Kingston. It is out of town. Out of town.
Listen, be clear on this, because myself and Mr. Maitland, we are here to advise people, and we are here to help you to make better decisions, right? And to understand what happened in the funeral industry. And we want you to know that you don't have to be using either Exodus or Garden of Paradise for you to call us. Because, you have a funeral home that you're already dealing with.
Right.
Probably you're 3 parish away from us.
Right.
So, but we want to make sure that, we are here for you. So not because you're not using us, don't feel like you can't call us. And you can call us anytime.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Green, the situation happened 5 parishes from us. From me. 5 parishes. And the person called me because they have listened to the program. And at the time when things happened, it was another sibling that was dealing with it. But when all the crescendo started going down now, she called and she said, Mr. Maitland, I need to talk to you about this. And she outlined everything. And I advised her what to do. And again, listeners, when we give the information, and if you hear individuals with situation that you're unclear about, you can always refer them to us. You can always tell them to listen to the program, because this is where we fix
And I
things.
hope somebody from the authorities listen to the program also.
So, what is going to happen in this situation, as I told the family, they have the name of the police officer, which is very good, and the station that he came from, which is very good. So that is to be reported to the commissioner's office. There is a channel through which these investigations are done. The department, I don't remember the exact name of the department, but it is on Duke Street, right beside the police records office. That's where that office is, that you register complaints of this nature, because it has to be investigated. The fact is, one, if the police is going to call a funeral home, they are supposed to call the government contracted funeral home
That is responsible for that parish.
within that parish. I also gave the person the name of the funeral home for that parish, because that's the funeral home that they should have been
And the family has
contacted.
nothing to do with this funeral home.
Nothing
They
to do
don't
with
know
funeral
about this funeral home.
Mr. Green, the funeral home is 2 parishes away.
They did not tell the police that, okay, recommend that funeral home
No.
to us that we can use.
The persons have their funeral home that they normally use, but they were not given the choice to call the funeral home. One was called, and in their mind, they thought that the government contracted funeral
So,
home.
so
was
Mr.
called.
Maitland, remember, when the police call a funeral home, the family is supposed to have at least 48 hours, right,
To do the removal.
to do the removal.
From the government
From
contracted.
the government, once the police have no interest in the case.
Right.
So either the police is going to say, all right, we have no interest in the case, right? However, a private autopsy have to be done.
Right.
Then the other funeral home should have that understanding and release the body
Right.
to the family.
So I instructed her to go to the police station to get the release from the police, because the fact that the police does not have an interest in the case, but they call a funeral home, they ought to provide the family with a release to take to the funeral home.
Right.
Because somebody is supposed to pay that bill, but it can't be the family. And even if the family, for expedience, pays that bill, which I've instructed them to do,
Probably the police have some money they want to spend, man.
I've instructed them that whatever charges they face, they should pay and keep the receipt. If they are unable to pay the charges, they then know when they relocate to their funeral home of choice, just speak with the funeral director, have the funeral home pay the fee for them, and they get a copy of the receipt, because you're gonna need this receipt to submit when you're making that formal complaint at Duke Street. You're going to need that invoice, because somebody will be paying for that service, but it's not going to be the family. I promise you, it's not going to be the family. So I've instructed them to, if they really want to, do the removal for expedience. Don't bother go through the whole arguing.
Yeah,
and
because
race.
if
Because there's a
because
proce-
this
there's a
funeral home is
procedure.
going to charge them per day for storage.
Right.
That's what is happening now. So if they all up the proceeding, then it's going to cost them more.
It's going to cost them more.
You understand?
No, the thing is, no instruction was given by any family member for an embalming to be
For
done.
embalming to be done.
So the
Because
funeral
but the
home,
family don't know what is the cause of death,
right. So the funeral home is going to be liable for that.
right?
So in essence,
So probably the doctor who last see the individual or whatever might be saying that based on the time span that they visit, you
they
know,
won't issue a medical.
they
cause
won't
of death.
issue a medical cause of death. So that person might have to do an autopsy. Must do an autopsy. I know this funeral home pick up the body in couple of hours or days,
Mm-hmm.
a day or two,
Mm-hmm.
and gone and do an embalming, making arrangement, preparation for funeral for these people who has no dialogue with,
No dialogue with.
no form of communication.
All right. So
This is serious.
This is serious.
This is serious. This is a
And-
very serious
And after the
matter.
break, we're gonna discuss it some more. Listeners, we're gonna take a break, and then we come back. We'll get some more into this, because today is really fixing day.
It will get better. Won't last forever. Today is the day to push past my limits. Escape my comfort zone. I won't live within it. Take energy from my mind and body. Be all I can be. Best version of me. I won't give up. No, I'll never stop. Never stop. Boost me up with something. Boost me up. Boost me up.
One glass of Suppligent has 8 vitamins and minerals and is power-packed with protein to maintain healthy muscle mass. The day is yours. Suppligent boosts you up.
Real unboxing of our culture. Better never know a boxing turn up. Full of vibes when your friend them show up. Watch it fight, mix a rum with your cups up. A rear up fight nights, everybody roll up. Fight nights, happy we culture. No fun and excitement, boy. Fight nights, happy we culture. Full of vibes, rare and make we show ya. Make we power at the biggest boxing championship. Ray and nephew fight nights. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly. It will get better. It will get better. Won't last forever.
Welcome back, listeners. This is the program, The Final Decision. It's aired on a Monday and on a Thursday. It's your mid-morning program. I am, of course, Mark Maitland from the Garden of Paradise Funeral Home.
And Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home. Mr. Maitland,
Yes, sir.
it have to get better, you know?
It must get better.
Mr. Maitland, this is bad. This is bad. And I want our listener to know that these are things that face a lot of people out there.
Right.
A lot of people out there. Discomfort and, disrespect and all those things. And it has to get better. It cannot continue.
And really, I had to basically, apologize to the family member for the experience, because the fact is, when somebody is grieving, you should try to see how best you can lessen the grief, not add to the grief. But the instruction that I've given them, one, they have the name of the police who made the call. I said to them, ensure that you go to the station to get the release, because the fact that the police made a call must be that they called the government contracted funeral home. So get the release from them. And then the third thing you need to do is get a lawyer. You don't need to worry about payment for the lawyer.
So
The lawyer will be paid, trust me. Because there's so much happening there, especially the fact that even without instructions from the family, they went ahead to do an embalming. I said, get a lawyer.
that means they're ready to do the funeral.
Ready for business.
Ready for business.
Ready for business. And then you're going to say to the person, because, X, Y, and Z is going to be 100 plus thousand if you want to go somewhere else. And went as far as to remind
And their loved one was not in no from a decomposed position where they have to do an immediate embalming.
But the fact is, if their loved one was in a situation
they would have sent to a government.
they would have been
sent
sent to a government contracted
morgue
for
for that
government,
right. Where the body
yes,
would be preserved
yes,
for that until that time.
yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. And I know these are the experiences that some persons have, and they say, boy, the funeral industry in Jamaica, as we say, set away. But when these things come to our knowledge, we try as best as possible to address them and direct the family.
Mr. Maitland, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you to know that,
Appreciate that,
as a funeral director, a young man in the business, not as long as some other funeral home, and you see the interest, you see the interest to really come out publicly, and we launch this program so, Jamaica at large can benefit.
Yes, man.
And people can have better understanding. So it's not no feelings, we just want to make sure so we take care of the industry.
Right. Because the truth is, a lot has been said in the negative.
Yeah, and we don't feel good as funeral director for no say. It just pure bad things. Every time you approach that thing, they must have bad things to say, to say.
Right. And I know positives have been happening.
Right.
I had the pleasure last week. I had to go to Montego Bay last Tuesday to do a removal there, and I had the pleasure of interacting with two funeral homes, Nordal and some gentlemen from De La Penas. And Mr. Green, the level of respect and cohesion, trust me, I had to compliment them and commend them, because this is the way that we are supposed to behave as players in the industry. And I want to say, I refer to them as associates. The associates from Nordal, they were kind enough and I also want to pick up Golden Gates, Mr. Sandre Powell, who is the managing director there, for their assistance. They walked us through the procedure of having the paperwork done in West Jamaica. As a matter of fact, one of the times they took it up on my behalf. When I got to Mobi, Nordal's assisted and handed the documents to the transit permit to me. When I got to the customs gate at the Sanks International Airport, not familiar with how things are done there, because in Kingston things are done differently. I did not realize that I even needed a church truck, and there were two gentlemen there from De La Penas who came to pick up, and in dialogue they realized that I did not come equipped. And they were kind enough to stop, render assistance, and, you know, ensure that everything was okay. We exchanged numbers, and they said, listen, whenever you're coming to Western Jamaica, give us a call. Whenever we are coming to Kingston, we'll give you a call. And these are things that we need to see more of in the industry.
Yes, because we have to understand, Mr. Maitland, as a funeral director, and as I always say to people, you know, if every funeral home in Kingston should lock down for 1 month, you can't bury everybody at
We
Kingston.
can't be everybody. There's no way we get
We're
one.
in a problem. That's too much.
No
That's
way.
too much for us.
No way.
That's way too much for us. So we have to just unite.
And understand that we are partners.
We are partners. You know what I mean?
Partners in this. But it is unfortunate that this has happened, and I really hope that one of the things as well, Mr. Green, is that sometimes persons start a process and then they get discouraged because they say that, boy, things take too long to be done in Jamaica, and they become frustrated and they just leave it alone. I hope this is not one of those things that will happen in this situation, because again, when families are grieving, our duty is to ensure that we lessen the grief and not add to the burden of grief. And I really hope that things will be resolved speedily, so that this family will have the opportunity to really pay the final respects to their mother, sister, aunt, grandma, whatever she was to them, the best way and the way that they choose to.
And I hope that the police that is in question, will reach out to the family and try to see how best they can, fix the problem. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they are the one who they most familiar with that funeral home. They must have a relationship for them to become a funeral home from 3 parishes away.
2 parishes away.
2 parishes away. When it's not supposed to be
Not
so.
supposed to be
So
that.
he must can call them and say, hey, listen to me, this is not how it's supposed to work. You understand what I say? And explain to them so they can, bring a closure to the thing before it escalates. And
it is about to escalate.
it's about to escalate. So I mean, I would love if somebody who know of the situation could speak to that policeman,
Right.
and ask the policeman to intervene.
Right.
You know?
Right. Talk to
Because-
your friend and tell your friend to release the
Yeah, talk to your friend and tell a friend, say, man, I know so it's supposed to go, So release the loved one to the family so they can go ahead with their funeral. Of course, if you have a charge for the transportation, you understand?
But as
Where is the love and support, man?
As is, it is a rough situation, and I mean, yeah, we had a planned program, but we had to deviate because we had to discuss this, and the person
Mr.
asked.
Maitland, one more thing, Mr. Maitland. It's rough enough because we are in the industry and we're talking about removal, and we're talking about distance and coming from so far. So if the people going to charge for the transportation, it's going to be a lot,
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. I understand that, but for you to say you won't release until all of this is paid, in light of the fact that you are very much aware that things were not done.
Let's hope to them to say they might forget documents too, because they go ahead and start,
It's gonna be a sticky situation.
Boy.
One which could and should have been avoided, should not have been in the first place. But what beats me is that even the fact that the funeral home that was called is not a government contracted funeral home in any parish at all. So you could even say, all right then, at least. But 2 parishes away, a private funeral home.
And don't even have the audacity or whatever to call the family and say something to the family. Say something to the family. Because here you go, you went and do the pickup, and you must get some information and thing like that. So I mean,
and Mr. Green, this has come to, I was about to say my attention, but I know that you have you know of cases, and I'm gonna appeal to some of the police officers who are dealing with it. Let me just disclaimer: it is not being done on a wide scale by every police officer, but there are some who will. We have heard of situations where when police officers have gone to the home of individuals and they say to them, they will call the government contracted funeral home, they call another funeral home.
Mr. Mayor, let me say it plainly. The police officers who are calling their friends, stop it.
Stop doing it.
Stop calling your friends,
Yeah,
right? And do the right thing.
Yeah, there's a procedure.
You know the procedure.
You know the procedure.
You know
Follow
what
the
to
procedure.
do. And stop talking about you want a man to eat a little food. You don't do those
Right, you
things
don't
in
do
these
those
cases
things.
where people are grieving the death of their
You
loved one.
can make the recommendation and allow the family to make the decision.
Yeah,
But
nothing wrong
nothing is
with
wrong
making
with
a
that.
recommendation.
You make a pitch. But don't say to the family you're going to be calling the government contracted funeral home, and then because in your mind you surmise that these persons won't know or do not know better, then you do what you feel.
Mr. Miller,
you want
I
to.
have these experiences, you know, especially in St. Catherine, you know, where it coming like say, these police are programs to call a certain particular funeral home. And in a day or two, when the family go back to make the removal, it's a hefty sum.
Right. So we're asking, please, just you know what the procedure is. You know what the right thing is. Let us do the right thing so that we can have harmony in the industry, and individuals, you know, can really go through grief as easy as possible.
Mr.
Don't
Maitland,
add to the
it
grieving.
will get better.
Don't add to the grieving of other individuals. Friends, we are upon that 11:30 mark. Time is upon us. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be here again Monday with another discussion. And on Monday as well, we will give the numbers again for you to call, and we can get through that. And until then, have a wonderful weekend. It will get better because, in fact, it came to pass. This is your program, Final Decision. I'm your host, as per usual, Mark Maitland, and with me every week is...
Errol Green from Exodus Funeral Home.
It will get better. It came to pass. We'll talk again on Monday.
Thank you very much, listeners.
All right. Blessings.
Your nights will turn to day. Just